Have you been wondering if you can leave insomnia while still taking a sleeping pill? Have you been afraid that by taking a sleeping pill, you're keeping yourself from facing your fear and giving yourself relief from the struggle that you've been in? If this has been your question, then the answer is yes. It is absolutely possible to leave the struggle forever while still taking a sleeping pill, especially if you understand the following. Hi there, and welcome to this Insomnia Insight episode. I'm really excited about this one because this question of like, can I, recover from insomnia even if I take a sleeping pill is actually a common one, and one that I feel like I've missed. I've gotten that question many times, and I'm like, why haven't we talked about this on the channel? So I'm really excited about, a chance to answer this question for you today. And the question again is this one: can I recover from insomnia if I still take a sleeping pill or sleeping pills? And for those of you who know me and have followed this channel for a while, I don't usually use the word recover because it implies that there's something to recover from. But everybody knows the word, so sometimes I use it anyway. So typically, when I say leave the struggle, and recover, I mean the same thing. But I like leave the struggle because it doesn't sound like it's insinuating or implying that there's something wrong with us that we need to recover from, or something like that. But anyways, a little side note. The sections we're going to go over today are these ones. We're going to look at the real insight and wisdom that is baked into the question of, can I leave the struggle even if I take sleeping medication? And then we're going to look at the mix-up. There's a misunderstanding here regarding the pill that is really helpful to see. And then we're going to look at like true exposure and what I call camouflaged exposure. And then we're going to summarize everything. So firstly, what is this insight? What is this wisdom that I refer to when we have the question, can I recover from insomnia if I still take sleeping pills? Well, the person who's asking this question are understanding a lot of things. We understand, by we, I mean those of us who are, in the natosphere, we look at insomnia as a sleep struggle that is rooted in the misunderstanding that wakefulness is a threat, a misclassification of wakefulness, which is entirely harmless and just a state of the human mind, state of the human brain, that this is somehow dangerous, or that is a foe, that is something we need to fight against. And the step from here to how we leave the struggle is quite small. We see education of the brain, that wakefulness is actually not a threat, that is harmless in itself. We see this as a real step towards leaving the struggle. And this is, when there's no longer a fear of being awake at night, then insomnia no longer exists. Sometimes, by the way, people say like, so are you saying that there aren't other things than fear that can cause insomnia? And that's true. We define insomnia as a struggle rooted in a fear of not sleeping. When people say, well, how about medical issues, for example, we say they can cause sleep disruption. They can definitely impact your sleep, but that's different from insomnia. So anyway, just a little side note there again. So what when we talk about educating the brain that wakefulness is not a threat, we talk about befriending wakefulness. And befriending wakefulness is about like being awake at night without trying to escape that. Instead of trying to like take a supplement or make it super dark or listen to some, yoga nidra, meditation sounds or something like that to really try to escape wakefulness. Instead, we go, okay, let's see what I can do now that makes it acceptable for me to be awake. Like educating the brain that being awake is not a threat. And we call this befriending wakefulness. But the word befriending is really the same as accepting. Acceptance or letting go or non-doing, non-thriving, all this is the same thing. It's just different words. Exposure is also the same thing. Exposure is allowing ourselves to experience something that we previously tried to escape. You see, it's the same thing again. But the reason I highlight exposure here is that exposure therapy is well known in mainstream understanding of inner struggles, particularly like phobias and things of that nature. And when we believe this is a very sound understanding that somebody's afraid of spiders, it probably helps to learn more about spiders and expose yourself to spiders to see that there's nothing really to be afraid of there, right? And this all leads to the insight and wisdom in the question. When somebody's saying the following, if I'm using sleeping pills to sleep, then I'm not exposing myself to what I've been afraid of, and I'll keep being afraid of it. This is the wisdom. The person who's asking this question understands that when we are continuing to try to escape something that is not really a threat, it just reinforces the idea that there's something to be afraid of, right? So when somebody asks this question, a very nice thing is that there's already, like, we can take note of the fact that there's already great understanding, great insight. So if you've asked yourself this question, that makes me glad to see this insight and this wisdom that you have. And now we're going to see that although there is a lot of wisdom here in this question, if I'm using sleeping pills to sleep, then am I not exposing myself to what I've been afraid of? Am I avoiding that? There are two things here that I think are still, like, there's still some kind of lingering misunderstandings. And when we clear those up, then you have kind of like complete wisdom and complete insight, which will truly lead where you want to be. So let's look at the first one, which I call here like the pill mix-up. Mix-up here, I don't mean like it's mixed up with anything. I mean like the mix-up as in kind of a little misunderstanding there, right? This kind of very insightful question started with the phrase, if I'm using sleeping pills to sleep. And what we can see here is that there is a baked-in assumption that the pill is producing sleep. The person who's afraid that they're using sleeping pills and missing out on a chance of exposure, they're thinking, oh no, by taking the sleeping pill, I'm kind of forcing sleep. I'm producing like chemically induced sleep, so I don't get a chance to expose myself to wakefulness. But the but here is that sleep cannot be produced by anything outside of ourselves, outside of like our body. We cannot ingest something that makes us sleep, that forces us to sleep. It is biologically, physiologically impossible. Some people may object to say like, hey, how about when we're put under for surgery? That's anesthesia. That doesn't make us sleep. That produces unconsciousness. That's completely different from sleep. And others may object saying like, but when I take this pill, I always do sleep. Well, this comes from effortlessness, actually. The fundamental truth is that when we sleep well, when we have peaceful sleep, that is always from effortlessness. That always comes from not trying to sleep, abandoning attempts to force sleep. And the proof of this you can get by just asking anyone who sleeps well. Ask them like, how do you sleep so well? They'll go like, I don't know. And that again that's effortlessness. That shrug is evidence of effortlessness. So going back to the pill here, if somebody takes a pill and thinks, oh, how nice, this will just take care of sleep for me, then we have abandoned efforts to try to force sleep. We have become effortless. And that is the magic. We have delegated the presumed work of sleep. We're no longer doing anything to try to sleep. And that is where sleep comes from. That is where peaceful sleep comes from. Now, here I highlight the word peaceful sleep because sleep always happens just by virtue of sleep drive. If we go for a long period of time, our body just craves sleep so much, needs sleep so much that it produces sleep. You may not even be fully aware of that. Sometimes we're so hyper aroused that we don't even take note of the fact that we slept, right? But it always happens. So sleep always happens by itself, just by virtue of sleep drive. But peaceful sleep, sleeping well, or like feeling like we slept, that comes from effortlessness. And so again, neither any sleep nor peaceful sleep comes from a pill or a chemical or from outside us. It all comes from inside us. And so we can now answer this question. If I keep taking a pill, am I not reinforcing the idea that there's something to be escaped? Not when you know that taking it has no impact on what you've been wanting to escape. So yes, previously, when you thought this pill is making me sleep and therefore I'm not giving myself a chance to be awake, right? Then you've kind of given power to the pill. You thought it did something that it doesn't do. And now when you know that, there's no like, we can't trick ourselves when we know the trick, right? So now automatically, when we see that the pill doesn't really do anything, it's automatically less relevant, and that is super, super helpful. So we've covered that kind of mix up there, the first mix up. And now if we go back to this question again, and we look at the second part, then I'm not exposing myself to what I've been afraid of, and I'll keep being afraid. And now we'll see that somehow in insomnia, although we talk a lot about insomnia being a product of a fear of not sleeping, right? And we talk about befriending wakefulness, the struggle really is rooted at a somewhat deeper level. Actually, there's a deeper level that matters more, right? So befriending wakefulness, as we talked about, like, it can truly help, but in the scope of insomnia again, what is the source of that wakefulness? Where does it come from? Why do we find ourselves awake? Of course, the source is fear. We are scared. And when we're scared, we're put in this hyper-aroused state. In that hyper-aroused state, that's the state of like hyper-vigilance, hyper-alertness. Like we're really keeping an eye out on potential threats, right? That's normal when we're scared. That is also why it's normal to be awake when we are scared. And so we can see here that if we were no longer afraid, then we also would not be in this hyper-aroused state, and we also wouldn't be finding ourselves awake at night. And so what is it like? What is it with insomnia that truly drives the struggle? It's driven by fear. And what so often happens is that we have a couple of nights where we have choppy sleep, and we do, become afraid of not sleeping. We're like, oh no, I couldn't sleep. Why am I not sleeping? There is a fear of wakefulness there. But during that kind of early struggle, we experience a lot of fear, and then our brain makes this kind of second misclassification. It's like, oh, I shouldn't be this scared. I shouldn't have these palpitations. I shouldn't have these emotions. I shouldn't have these racing thoughts. So what's going on? What's happening now is actually we become scared of feeling scared. This is like the more profound misclassification, not only of wakefulness as a threat, but of anxiety as a threat, of fear as a threat. And now you can see like at the root of the struggle really is that we become scared, and we're scared of feeling scared, and then we become more scared. And this is really the underlying kind of engine behind all our inner struggles. And when we know this, we can see that befriending wakefulness is actually so much more than exposure to just being awake at night. It's an invitation to expose ourselves, to be willing to experience everything that comes with being awake at night. Or, by the way, what happens during the day. We may spend the whole day being afraid, right? And befriending wakefulness is really about not only being willing to experience being awake at night, but all the emotions that come with this kind of state of mind that we call insomnia, right? So, in other words, it's an invitation to expose ourselves to our feelings, our anxiety. It's a camouflaged way of exposure to what we have truly tried to escape, which is really our anxiety and other emotions and other kind of internal unpleasantness, right? So what we truly want to befriend, actually at the deepest level, is our feelings and ourselves. And I point out ourselves because oftentimes there is a great deal of self-judgment when we have these inner struggles. So when it comes to pills, for example, we often like, why am I taking this pill? I'm doing something wrong to myself. I'm harming my body and things of this nature. No evidence for that, by the way. There's no evidence that sleeping pills cause any health issues. They are FDA approved. They've been around for many, many years. And also like all this, like, I shouldn't be doing this. This is not who I am, and all these things. That's just self-judgment. In reality, we just took these sleeping pills because we needed some support. We wanted to help ourselves, right? So when we befriend our feelings, super, super helpful. When we befriend ourselves, when we're not so hard on ourselves, super, super helpful as well. And as you can see here, we can expose ourselves to fear even when we take a sleeping pill, right? If somebody's taking a sleeping pill and they're struggling with insomnia, that person is going to have many moments of anxiety, many moments where they're scared. And that is like the real opportunity, the real true opportunity is to expose ourselves to those emotions and to be kinder to ourselves. And we can do this actually, whether we take a sleeping pill or not, it doesn't matter. We can leave the struggle whether we take a sleeping pill or not. It doesn't matter. So now what I hope you see here is that the sleeping pills are in many ways irrelevant, because what truly matters is our education and our understanding. Now, to start the summary, I want to share some thoughts that I picked up on from reading Alan Carr's book, the one about like easy smoking cessation, the easy way to stop smoking, I think it is called. Alan Carr says there that there's such a thing as a dry alcoholic, and a dry alcoholic is somebody who's actually not drinking any alcohol, but who's still always thinking about it, like wishing they could, their life is kind of consumed by a desire to get relief from emotions by drinking alcohol, right? And he says there's a smokeless smoker as well. That's the person who has like used willpower to just keep themselves from smoking, but it's all they think about. So in a sense, they're still a smoker in mindset. They just happen to not be smoking, right? And he said on the flip side, Alan Carr says, you can stop smoking while still smoking, right? You can be smoking cigarettes, but you're educating yourselves. You're understanding that they never did anything. It was never the cigarettes that made you feel relaxed. It was never the cigarettes that made you feel sharp, right? And when you understand that, the desire to smoke just fades away. And that can happen. That process can happen while you're still smoking. And I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, it's the exact same thing as in our world. You can leave insomnia while still taking sleeping pills 100%, because it is about education. And so again, very similarly to in the world of like leaving alcohol, leaving cigarettes, we can sleep. We often have people in our community who sleep a typical amount, like, oh, I sleep 7-8 hours a night and I don't take any sleeping pills, but I'm still so afraid. What if this comes back again? What if it happens again, et cetera, et cetera. This person is sort of a sleeping insomniac, right? They're sleeping, they're not taking any pill, but their life is still consumed by this fear of not sleeping, right? So they, in a sense, still have insomnia. On the other hand, we can have somebody who has taken a sleeping pill for decades. Like, I've taken this 20 years. And if you question them, like, do you think it really makes you sleep? They're like, probably not. It's just my habit. I've been doing that for a while. It's kind of like some people take a vitamin without really thinking it does anything, but it's just their habit. And this person can take a sleeping pill without any belief that it actually works, without any guilt, without any fear, and they don't have insomnia, right? So when taking a pill is a non-factor, you are on your way for sure of leaving the struggle and finding what you've been looking for: peaceful sleep and peace of mind. I hope this was a valuable, helpful answer to this question. I always intend to make these videos about 10 minutes. This one a little longer, but it felt like everything made sense to share here. So let me know what you thought in the comment section. Thanks for being here, and look forward to seeing you very soon again. Bye for now. Hi there, it's me, Coach Daniel. I hope you found a lot of value in the video you just watched. And if you're looking for a bit more personalized support on your insomnia recovery journey, then head over to thesleepcrystal.com. I think it is the #1 resource for insomnia sufferers worldwide. And there you will find free programs as well as paid programs with certified sleep coaches. You can join a community of people who understand what you're going through because they've gone through it themselves, or they are on this journey of leaving the struggle and arriving where they want to be, just like you, that place of peaceful sleep and peace of mind. So again, I hope the video that you just saw brought a lot of value to you. And if you're looking for a bit more personalized support on your journey, then head over to thesleepcoachschool.com. And if you decide to join, we look forward to seeing you on the other side.